This is slightly Magic Land, right? I've now debated this twice in the last month and a half. Both times in first stop. Both times I have lost to the first proposition team. Both times. I tried 2 different strategies. I now have in my mind the perfect up. It's too late. But I want you just, for a couple of minutes amongst yourselves, or talk or do it by yourself, come up with what you think first up might be, bearing in mind what I've said. You have here in your arsenal principles, you have practicalities, you've got why this might not work, the negative consequences of doing this, and try to come up with what the ideal first speech for the time being would be. Just go for it for 2 minutes. You can talk amongst yourselves as well.
So the findings are here, the principles we stand by, why it won't work in the real world. What were the other 2?
The negative consequences of doing this. So can you actually...
So basically everything is practical except for the new one, which is the principles we stand by, and then why it negates those principles.
Yeah.
So there's the 3 practical ones before and with that additional
yeah.
one, which should be thrown in, which is necessary.
Yeah. We'll talk about how you might want to do that as a team between 2 people in a moment, but for the time being I just want to...
Some negative consequences, and the 4th one is?
Alternatives. In this case, it might not be relevant, because this is Magic Land. Bear that in mind. Guys, another 30 seconds. This isn't you building the whole case, don't worry. Or, in fact, it looks like you're pretty much ready. Okay, first of all, do you think that this is real world or Magic Land?
Magic Land.
It's Magic Land, right? Like, what do you think First Prop are going to say in Magic Land?
They don't have any more information in the advertisements. It's a brainwash of the people who...
People can't protect themselves.
People can't protect themselves.
Yeah.
Do
Adversely affects children, the vulnerable. It creates an element of relative deprivation such that people are always perpetually trying to find more money and more stuff.
Okay, so creation of demand which shouldn't exist, which doesn't exist, and then the constant striving for more. So what do you think their big principle is in prop? It's pretty anti-capitalist. If we're going to look for like what is their stance, it's pretty anti-capitalist. So what are your first moves in opposition at the moment in your minds? Does someone want to come up with the moves that they make? Yeah.
Well, while this is good for the economy and so on, if we do this, that if we wouldn't advertise, people would consume less, and this would hurt everyone.
Okay, so one, you are pro-capitalist, fine. We'll need to do a bit more work on that, but yeah.
Even if you're anti-capital or see some failures in the market, you have some harms for new entrants into the market. So in an economy where there's no advertising, new competitors can't come in because there is simply nobody knows that there are new products, for example.
So we have innovation.
Innovation and information.
Innovation and information.
The importance of free trade of information, that advertising is not just about products. People use advertising for charities to get money for orphans or eye operations, whatever.
Yeah, but any decent prop would take that out, of course.
That's like really at the extremes of the
But
debate.
that's just like one example of how information is distributed.
It's on the table.
And there's political advertising as well.
Okay.
that-
I'm going to jump over here and then over here.
Okay, I'd say the principle of letting people choose is basically that the advertising would say is an exact example of where we're saying that people have the right to choose. Societies that facilitate where people can choose, we only limit people's ability to do so when something so negative and so generally harmful as we can't trust it with the people, then advertising doesn't fall into that category, hence it shouldn't be banned.
Mm-hmm. That's a very big principle. We'll see whether we can fit that in.
My first
Oh,
thought
sorry, it was going to go here, then back there, then there. Yep.
I would say along her line is that the difference between information and advertisement is a problematic difference. Eventually, people will like to let other people know what they are selling, and they will get this information to these people in one way or the other. So effectively, you can't really define exactly what are you banning.
That's going to fit, okay. Well, I'm going to categorize these in a moment. Yep, you were going.
Yes, like it's a huge part of the business, and all those people working with this, and all those people working with educating people in marketing.
So do you think they'll be unemployed as a result of this?
Yeah, something like that. And you actually really killing a huge part of the business.
I don't know, but it's...
It was back here first.
Yeah, okay. Actually, my first idea about principled argument was the idea of freedom of expression, that the state has no right to...
That's the same as Daniel's over here.
Yeah,
So
sure.
when do we limit?
I had the idea of the practical problem would be the definition of what is an advertisement. There could be some problems.
Yep.
I would say that advertising has also become some part of our culture, and people identify with brands and logos. Like I wear a Nike shirt, for example, and if you take it away, you may also harm these people that really need this as some part of their cultural identity.
Okay. This is going to be the last two, because then we need to actually start building this into a case. Yeah.
Do you want to go first? I think there is room to discuss the alternative that would be created in terms of seller-buyer relations, and why showing that without ads the buyer actually gains advantage and not the other way around, which also breaks down what First Prop is trying to say.
Okay. I'll add a couple more. These are just the purely practical ones, which this is in Magic Land, but still, obviously, you're going to destroy the media, because without advertising income, print newspapers will pretty much die, and most TV channels as well are quite likely to not exist anymore, apart from pay-per-view and state-owned. And secondary, this is a really small one, but the arts, which are currently pretty much funded through sponsorship, and sponsorship as part of advertising is an important aspect of our economy.
There's also something more to that. Many of the ads become art. You were at our house. The kitchen has two works of one commercial to Coca-Cola, one to Guinness as the decorations. That's art by now.
Oh,
Cultural.
Also, sorry, this one is quite important.
No. That
The role
is
of
brand and how we identify ourselves. I'm talking about as a work of art for itself, like Benetton or Vodka Absolute.
which is true, but I don't think it's is unlikely to be like a core part of the debate.
No.
Yeah. There was actually one other interesting additional thing which we might want to say, which is advertising is not just the creation of demand. It cannot actually be informative. So it can be, my product was $3.50, it's now $2.50, and therefore the cheapest on the market. Or my car can drive at 100 miles per hour in 4 seconds. Now, that is something that the consumer might want to know. But now the consumer can't know that, presumably, or is going to have to track that down themselves. Right, so we do have a large number of different arguments. It seems as though the "it simply won't work" arguments are you'll get information one way or another. These companies aren't just going to disappear. There is going to be a transfer of information, but it might happen over the internet, etc. And 2, what is an advertisement? Is Google search an advertisement? Is merely stating on the packaging that this thing tastes good an advert? Where does something become an advert? When does it not? How are you going to define it? That is a very traditional, look, this is just a really bad idea.